Hello everyone. So in today's class, we are going to discuss what is called the mesh method or loop method of solving circuits or networks. Right? It is based on Kirchhoff's voltage law. What is Kirchhoff's voltage law? Algebraic sum of EMFs in a closed path must be zero, or sum of potential rises must be equal to sum of potential drops in a closed path. Let's get into the details. Mesh current or loop current method. Okay. So here you are given a network or a circuit. What are the elements of the circuit? Impedances ZA, ZB, ZC, ZD, ZE, and two independent voltage sources VA and VB. Okay, so it contains independent voltage sources and impedances. Right? Now, what do you mean by loop or a mesh? Loop or mesh means a closed path. Loop or mesh means a closed path. Okay, so this is one possible closed path, this is second possible closed path, this is third possible closed path. Okay, these are three possible closed paths. Right? Now what I will do, I will assume or assign loop currents like this: I1, I2, I3. Okay, I will assign three loop currents I1, I2, I3 in loops 1, 2 and 3 respectively. Okay, so loop currents are those which are confined to those particular loops. Say for example, I1 is confined to this loop consisting of ZA, ZB and the voltage source VA. Similarly, I2 will be confined within ZB, ZC and ZD loop. I3 is confined to ZE, VB and ZD loop. Okay, this current I1 after reaching ZA will not split into two, one through ZB and one through ZC. That will not happen. Okay, those are branch currents. I1, I2 and I3 are loop currents. Okay, so they are confined only to those particular loops. Okay, so I have marked here three loop currents I1, I2 and I3. Okay, these are not the only directions. If you want, you can mark your loop currents in anti-clockwise direction also, or two may be in clockwise, one may be in anti-clockwise. It's up to you. Okay, I have just drawn it. I have just taken all the currents in clockwise form, I1, I2 and I3. Now let us apply Kirchhoff's voltage law to loop 1. What will you get? So for this assumed current direction, it is minus to plus. And my sign convention is like this: a movement from negative polarity to positive polarity is positive or potential rise, and a movement from plus to minus is potential drop. So naturally it will be negative. Okay, so if you follow this current direction I1, it is minus to plus potential rise. That means VA must be equal to what? Sum of potential drops. So since I1 is entering here, this is plus minus, this is plus minus. Okay, what will the drop in ZA? ZA into I1. What will be the drop in ZB? ZB into current through ZB. Keep in mind, I1 is from top to bottom, loop current I2 is in opposite direction. So what's the net current through ZB? I1 minus I2. Okay, now you just rearrange it. Club I1 terms together, I2 terms together, from which you get ZA plus ZB into I1 minus ZB into I2. Okay, now coming to second loop. There are no voltage sources here. So question of potential rise is ruled out. 0 equal to what? Drop in ZC. What is that? I2 into ZC plus drop in ZD. What will be that? ZD into I2 minus I3 plus drop in ZB. What will be drop in ZB? ZB into I2 minus I1. Okay. If you club I1, I2, I3 terms together, you will get it like this. Similarly, loop 3. For this assumed current direction, this is plus 2 minus potential drop. So all sum of potential drops must be equal to sum of potential rises. So for this assumed current direction, there are no potential rises. Okay. So I3 into ZD plus VB plus ZD into I3 minus I2 must be equal to 0. Or minus VB equal to what? ZE into I3 plus ZD into plus ZD plus ZE into I3. Got it? So now we have three equations which can be arranged in a matrix form, right? So this is the voltage vector VA 0 minus VB, VA 0 minus VB. Then the impedance charge they have been collected, and this is the current vector I. Okay, so this you can see V equal to Z into I. What is that? It's the Ohm's law, right? So now how can you find I1, I2, I3 using Cramer's rule. Okay, we will see that. Now, just by looking into, just by inspection, you must be able to derive all these things. Okay, right? You should be able to write all these things in one go. How to do that? Okay, so you see my impedance matrix, how many rows and how many columns? 3 rows and 3 columns. Why it is a 3 by 3 matrix? Because my network had 3 loops. Okay, if the network had 4 loops, then the matrix would have been of the order 4 by 4. Fine. So what is Z11? Z11 means sum of all impedances through which I1 is flowing. What is that? ZA plus ZB. ZA plus ZB. Okay. What is Z22? Z22 means sum of all impedances through which I2 is flowing. ZB plus ZC plus ZD. And similarly, Z33 will be what? Sum of all impedances through which loop current I3 is flowing. ZD plus ZD. Okay. That is what is ZII. ZII means sum of all impedances through which current II is flowing. Loop current II is flowing. Okay. So straight away you have got your diagonal elements. Now what next? The off diagonal elements. Zij. Okay. Zij means sum of all impedances common to loop currents II and Ij. For example, what is Z12? Z12 means impedances common to 1 and 2, which is that ZB. Now you see the current direction. I1 is from top to bottom, I2 is in opposite direction. So it should be minus ZB. Okay. If the current directions were in the same direction, then this would have been plus ZB. Okay. But for this assigned current directions, I1 and I2, this ZB, the current through ZB is the difference of the two loop currents I1 and I2, and hence it is minus ZB. Okay. That is what is written here. Sum of all impedances which are common to loop currents II and Ij. Positive if both loop currents are in same direction, otherwise negative. Got it? Now, what about the voltage vector? See, here what happens? Why VA is positive? Because this voltage source drives a current in the same direction as the loop current. Okay, loop current is like this way. So the source will also drive the current in the same direction. So it is positive. Otherwise, it would have been negative. Like in the case of VB. In the VB case, where's the source current? It is moving like this. But what is the loop current? It is opposite. So you will get minus VB. So positive if the voltage source drives the current in the same direction as the loop current. Otherwise, it is negative. Okay. Now we know these things. How can we find the loop currents I1, I2, and I3? Cramer's rule. What is I1? Delta 1 by delta. I2 is delta 2 by delta. And I3 is delta 3 by delta. What is delta? The determinant of the impedance matrix. Okay, this is delta. What is delta 1? First column replaced with the voltage vector. What is Z2? What is delta 2? Second column replaced with the voltage vector. And Z3, delta 3 will be third column replaced by the voltage vector. So now you can find what your I1, I2, and I3 are. Okay, keep in mind I1 and I1, I2, I3 are the loop currents, not the branch currents yet. Okay. So what? Suppose this is my I1, I2, and I3. Okay, I'm assigning loop currents this way. What's the branch current through 2 ohm? It is I1. What's the branch current through 3 ohm? It will be I1 minus I2 or I2 minus I1. Both are same. Okay. If our assumed current direction happens to be in the same direction as the actual current flow direction, then you will get a positive value. Otherwise, current direction will be opposite. You will get a negative value. Okay. So branch current through this 3 ohm will be either I1 minus I2 or I2 minus I1. What will be the branch current through 1 ohm? It will be either I2 minus I3 or I3 minus I2. What will be the branch current through? What will be the current through this voltage source? It will be I3. Okay. So if the actual current, if the assumed current direction happens to be in the same direction as the actual current, then you will get a positive answer. Otherwise, your answer will be negative. Right? So try to find the branch currents. Yeah, how can we do this? So these are the loop currents, I1, I2, and I3. Okay. So voltage vector first you have to write. For this assumed current direction, plus 2 minus partial drop, minus 6 plus 5. That means minus 1. Then minus 2 plus 6, 4. Then minus 11. Okay, because for this assumed current direction, plus 2 minus partial drop. So minus, what's the magnitude? Minus 11. So minus 11 plus 11. 11 plus 2, 13. What will be Z11? 2 plus 3. 5. 2, 2. So 2, 2 will be what? 3 plus 1, 4. 4 plus 1, 5. 3, 3 will be 4 plus 1, 5. 1, 2 is minus 3. 1, 3 is 0. 2, 3 is, what is the 1, 2? 2, 1 minus 3. 2, 3 minus 1. 0 minus 1 into what? I1, I2, I3. Okay, that is what is shown here. Fine. So we have impedance matrix, we have the current vector. So we can find what is delta 1, delta 2, and delta 3. Right? And which will eventually give you what are the loop currents I1, I2, and I3. So if the question is to find the branch current, so what will be the current through 3 ohm? It will be either I1 minus I2. If you do I1 minus I2, what happens? You get the net current through 3 as minus 1. Means what? The actual current flow is in the opposite direction. That is what you get if you do I2 minus I1. Okay, so I2 is in the towards the top, I1 is towards the bottom. Fine. In this way, you can calculate all the branch currents. Moving on. So we had considered these as 3 loops, right? Are these the only possible loops? No. You can consider one loop like this. You can club these two like this, or you can club these 3 as one single loop. Okay. So if you merge 2 or more loops, then you get what is called a super mesh or a super loop. Okay. So again, procedure remains the same, but the only thing is that your entries will be different. In the entries into the matrix, in the equation will be different. Okay. Let us consider loop 1. What is KVL? Sum of potential rise must be equal to sum of potential drops. So for loop 1 and for this assumed current direction I1 minus 2 plus potential rise VA must be equal to what? Sum of potential drops. What's the current through ZA? ZA into. So you see what's the current through ZA now? I1 plus I2 plus I3. I1 plus I2 plus I3. Plus what's that drop in ZB? Current through ZB is I1. So you will get ZB into I1. Or if you club I1 terms, I2 terms, I3 terms together, you will get like this. ZA plus ZB into I1 and so on. And similarly, loop 2, what will you get? Loop 2, this is my second loop. Okay, so for this assumed current direction, minus 2 plus potential rise, VA equal to. What will be the current through ZA? Again, I1 plus I2 plus I3. Plus current through ZC will be what? I2 plus I3. Plus current through ZD will be ZD into I2. Okay. So again, if you rearrange, what will you get? You will arrange this thing. You can club I1 terms together, I2 terms together, and I3 terms together. Okay. Similarly, loop 3. What will you get? For this assumed current direction, plus 2 minus partial drop. So minus VB plus VA. So you will get VA minus VB equal to what? ZA, a drop in the elements comprising that particular loop. So ZA into I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus ZC into I2 plus I3 plus ZE into what? I3. Okay. Then you can rearrange I1 terms together, I2 terms together, and I3 terms together. Okay. Now it is as usual. You can have a matrix. Okay. VA minus VB. You can apply Cramer's rule. Okay. And solve for what your loop currents I1, I2, and I3 are. Okay. So let us solve for this. So what do you get? For this assumed current direction, again 5 minus 6 minus 1, then 5 minus 2, 3, then 11 plus 5, 16 equal to what? What will you get? 2 plus 3, 5, then 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 1, 4, then 3 plus 4, 7. Right? 3, 4, right? Now what about 1, 2? Common 2, 1 and 2. That is 2. Common to 1 and 3, 2. 2 and 3, it is 2 plus 1, 3. Then here what will you get? 3. And this becomes common to 1 and 3. 1 and 3 means 2 only. Okay, 2. And common to 2 and 3, you will get 3. Into what? Into I1, I2, I3. Okay. Now you can solve for I1, I2, I3. What is I1 delta 1 by delta? What is I2 delta 2 by delta? What is I3 delta 3 by delta? And so on. Okay. So eventually you will get your currents like this. So what is the branch current through 3 ohm? Branch current through 3 ohm is I1, which is same as minus 1 ampere. So that means actually current should be moving like this, opposite to the assumed current direction. Now what's the branch current through 2 ohm? I1 plus I2 plus I3. Okay, that means minus 1 minus 1 minus 2, 3 minus 2, 1 ampere. Okay, so branch current through 2 ohm will be 1 ampere. Branch current through this 1 ohm will be what? 3 minus 1, 2 ampere. And branch current through 4 ohm will be 3 ampere. Okay, this is how to apply super mesh or super loop method. Got it? Let us try next question. Obtain the voltage Vx using mesh method. Where is Vx? It's the potential across this 10 ohm. Okay, so if you want to find the potential across 10 ohm, it is obvious you have to find the current flowing through 10 ohm. Okay, so what will you do? You will assume 3 loop currents. So just for a change, I have considered like this. Okay, I1 is in clockwise direction, I2 and I3 are in opposite directions, right? So what will be my first thing? V1, what will be that? For this assumed current direction minus 2 plus potential rise 10 angle 0. This is loop 2. Minus 2 plus potential rise 5 angle 30. Then here there are no voltage sources 0. This is my voltage vector equal to what? Is at 1 1. Sum of all impedances through which I1 is flowing. 2 plus 5, 7 plus J3. 7 plus J3. Then these are in same direction. So J5. Then I1 and I3 are in same direction. This is from here. This is also from here. So plus 5. This is J5. 2 will be what? 2 minus J2. So 12 minus J2. 12 plus J3. Okay. 10 plus 2 minus J2 plus J5. So 12 plus J3. Then common to 2 and 3, which is that 2 minus J2. This is from in this direction and this is opposite direction. So minus 2 plus J2. Right? Then 1, 3 and 3, 1 is same. 1, 2 and 2, 1 will be same. Sorry, 1, 3, 2, 3. Minus 2 plus J2. Minus 2 plus J2. Okay. Then what will be 3, 3? 5 plus 2, 7. 7 plus 10, 17. 17 minus J2. This will be my impedance factors into I1, I2, I3. 7 plus J3, J5. 7 plus J3, J5, 5. J5, 12 plus J3, minus 2 plus J2. 5 minus 2 plus J2. And 17 minus J2. Right? Now we have to solve for delta 1, delta 2, delta 3. Do. So what do you get? So you are asked to find Vx. That means which current do you need? I3. So you have to solve for delta 3 by delta. Okay. No need to solve for delta 1 and delta 2. So you should read question properly before attempting the question. Okay. There is no point in finding I1 and I2. Why? Because the question is to find the drop in 10 ohm. And the current to 10 ohm corresponds to I3. So that means you have to find delta 3 by delta. So what is delta 3? Delta means what? The impedance determined. Delta 3 means third column replaced with the voltage vector. So your I3 will be 0.4353 angle 165.87 amperes. Is that the question? No. Question is to find what is Vx. What will be Vx into 10? So you will get 4.353 angle 165.87 amperes. Fine. So the examples that we took so far comprise impedances and independent voltage source. But a network means there can be any kind of source, maybe voltage source or maybe current source. Suppose now we will consider the case where our network has current sources. So network containing independent current sources and voltage source and impedances. Okay. So if possible, convert the current source into a voltage source, right? So an ideal current source. What is the impedance of an ideal current source? It is an open circuit, right? It's an ideal current source. Similarly, what is an ideal voltage source? An ideal voltage source means its internal impedance is 0. It's a short circuit. Okay. Practical current source means what? It will be an ideal current source with an internal impedance. Okay, some impedance. So I can write this as I and this as Z. Okay. So this will be my practical current source, this thing. Okay. So let me mark this as terminals A and B. Right. And practical voltage source means there will be some internal impedance in series with the voltage source. Okay. So this is V plus minus and this is impedance Z, A and B. Okay. So this is my practical voltage source, right? Now you know that this voltage source and current source can be converted. How? Suppose you want to convert this into an equivalent current source. What will you do? What will be the value of the equivalent current source? I will be V by Z, and there will be a parallel impedance. Okay, whose impedance value is same as that of this internal impedance. Okay. Or similarly, if you want to convert this current source into voltage source, how will you find the voltage magnitude? This current into this impedance. It will be equal to what? I into impedance. Okay. And you will have an impedance in series with the voltage source. Okay. So, if possible, you have to convert the current source into a voltage source. Sometimes that may be possible, sometimes that may not be possible. Okay. So, if possible, convert the current source into a voltage source. That is the first step. Otherwise, if the current source is common only to one mesh, then the mesh current is given by the source current. Why? Because what is an ideal current source? An ideal current source is one which will give you constant current, independent of the load connected here. Put a 10 ohm resistance here, current will be the same, say 10 ampere will be the constant. Suppose you put a 100 ohm resistance here, still the current should be 10 ampere. That is what is an ideal voltage, ideal current source. Okay. It will give a constant current independent of the load. So if the current source is common only to one mesh, then it means that the loop current in that thing will be the same as the source current. Okay. Otherwise, what we have to do, define the voltage across the current source and write the mesh equations as if these source voltages were known. Then what we have to do, we have to augment the set of equations with one equation for each current source expressed as a non-mesh current or difference between two mesh currents. Okay, so we will take up one or two examples, then it will be clear. Or what? If a current source is common to two meshes, then we have to create a super mesh. How? By combining the meshes containing the current source, but excluding the current source. Okay, you have to combine the two meshes in which the current source is common, right? But you have to exclude the current source. The KVL equation around the super mesh is written in terms of the original mesh currents and impedances and voltage sources. Augment with one equation for each current source expressed as difference between two mesh currents. Okay, let's take one example, then it will be clear. Find IAB and VCG. So this is a given network. IAB means current flowing through 1 ohm impedance, resistance, and VCG means the current, the voltage between points G and C. Keep in mind when we say V12, right? Which is the lower potential and which is the terminal at higher potential? 2 is at lower potential and 1 is at higher potential. That's the meaning. Okay. So VCG means you have to move from G to C because G is at a lower potential and C is at a higher potential. GC means C is at a lower potential and G is at a higher potential. So you have to move from C to G. Okay, from C to G. So here you are asked to find VCG. That means you have to move from G to C. Right? So now what happens here? Here there's a current source. So let us define. This is I1. And I want to define a current here, right? So if I define the current source, what happens? If I define a loop current here, that will be same as the 2 ampere current source because it's an ideal current source. Ideal current source will drive a constant current. Okay, so this current source will be giving a constant 2 ampere current. So if I mark this as current, loop current I2, my loop current I2 directly I can write as 2 ampere. Why? Because this is an ideal current source, and an ideal current source will give a constant current 2 ampere. Fine. Now I can write this as my third loop current I3. Okay, that is what is shown here, right? So straight away I can put I2 equal to 2 ampere, right? Now coming to loop 1, what will you get? For this assumed current direction, minus 2 plus potential rise, 3 must be equal to what? 1 into I1 minus I3, right? I1 minus I3 plus 2 into 2 into I1 plus I2. So 2 into I1 and I2, you know, it is 2 ampere. Okay, loop 1. Right? And for loop 3, what will you get? Loop 3 will get 0 equal to 3 into I3 plus 1 into what will you get? I3 minus I1 plus 4 into I3 plus I2. And I2 is nothing but 2 ampere. Okay, that's what we are getting here. So when you solve, you should get I1 as minus 0.6956 ampere and I3 as this. So what's the current through IAB? Current through IAB will be what? It is either I1 minus I3 or I3 minus I1. Okay. So if you do I1 minus I3, what you get? It is 0.3913 ampere. So the actual current flow through AB is in this direction. Now, how will you find VCG? So VCG means you have to move from this path. Okay. See, this current is entering here. Okay. So this is plus, this is minus. And this current is entering at this point, plus and minus. So now you move from G to C. So as you move from G to C, minus to plus potential rise. So VCG must be plus 2 into, what's the current through 2 ohm? It is nothing but I2 plus I1. Then again minus to plus potential rise plus 4 into, what's the current through 4 ohm? I2 plus I3, right? Both are in same direction. Both are in same direction, I2 plus I3. Okay, so you will get this 6.2612. Try doing that. Am I clear? So in this case, we had current source which was common only to one loop. So there was no issue. Now let us take a case where we have a current source common to 2 loops, right? So you can see here, this 6 ampere source is common to loops 1 and 2. Okay, so what we have to do? Define the voltage across the current source and write the mesh equations as if these source voltages were known. Augment the set of equations. Okay, we'll come to that later. Okay, so what we have to do? First, we assume that you know a voltage across 6 ampere. So let the voltage across 6 ampere be Vx. Which will be the positive terminal and which will be the negative terminal here of Vx? This should be positive and this should be negative. Why? Because current is flowing out of the voltage source. Okay, so this is plus and this is minus. So that is what I did first. Okay, and now what we have to do? And write the mesh equations as if these source voltages were known. So now you write the mesh equation for this. What will you get? For this assumed current direction, minus plus potential rise 20 plus 2 minus potential drop. So 20 minus Vx must be equal to what? 6 plus 2, 8I1 minus 2I2. Loop 1. Okay. For this assumed current direction, plus 2 minus potential drop minus Vx plus 20. So 20 minus Vx equals 6 plus 2, 8, 8I1 minus 2I2. Okay. Loop 2, what will you get? For this assumed current direction, minus plus potential rise Vx equal to what? 10 plus 4, 14 plus 2, 16I2 minus 2I1. So these will be the two loop equations. Okay. So if you solve, and now what next? So you see, now what next? Augment the set of equations with one equation for each current source expressed as a non-mesh current. Okay. So what do you mean by that? So now you see this current source is common here. Okay. So how can we apply KCL at this thing, at this node? See, I2 is entering this node. Okay. What about I1? I1 is leaving. And what about this current that is also leaving? So if you apply KCL at this node, what will you get? I2 is entering and 6 and I1 they are leaving. So I2 equals 6 plus I1. Okay. So you will get I2 equals 6 plus I1. Okay. So now you have three equations and you can solve it. I2 equals 6 plus I1, right? So you can solve these things and you will get I1 and I2 as 2.81 ampere, right? Now there's an alternate method. What is that? Super mesh. So how we have to obtain that? A super mesh is obtained how? By combining the meshes containing the current source but excluding the current source. That means it is like this. So you have to exclude the current, exclude the branch. Okay. Now what next? You have to consider the current source. So this is our super mesh, right? So a super mesh is obtained by combining the meshes containing the current source but excluding the current source. The KVL equation around the super mesh is written in terms of the original mesh currents. So if you write this KVL, what will you get? For this assumed current direction, minus to plus potential rise 20 equal to what? What was the current through 6 ohm? It was I1. So 6 I1 through 10 and 4 it was I2. So you get plus 14 I2. 6 I1 plus 14 I2 equal to 20. And if you apply KCL here, what will you get? You should get I2 equal to what? 6 plus I1. Two equations, two unknowns, right? So this equation is the super mesh equation. If you have noticed, this is what you will get if you add these two. Okay, these two loop equations. In this method, we had assumed that voltage across the current source is known, Vx. You add these two and see what you are getting. 20 equals 14 I2 plus 6 I1. And that is exactly the super mesh equation. 6 I1 plus 14 I2. Okay, so two equations, two unknowns, which you can solve. And you will get the current as minus 3.2 ampere and 2.81 ampere. Okay. Let us try next example. Determine the mesh currents. So again, here you will have to, you can either go for a super mesh or you can assume a voltage source, or you can assume a voltage across the current source. Okay. So these are the loop currents, and I have assumed a voltage across the current source like this. So loop 1, what will you get? Loop 1, for this assumed current direction minus plus potential rise. So Vx plus 12 equal to what? 5 plus 1, 6 I1, then minus I2, then minus I5 I3. Okay, then similarly loop 2, what do you get? Okay, and what is the loop 3 equation? Like this. Okay, so now we have to apply KCL here. I3 is entering, I1 is this, and this is 4 ampere. Okay, so what will you get? Current entering must be equal to sum of currents leaving. 4 plus I3 must be equal to I1. Okay. So if you have, otherwise if you assume super mesh, what happens? You have to combine these two. Okay, like this. This will be your super mesh. Fine. So you will get these equations. So from loop 2, you can apply that KVL, and KCL will give you for I1 as 4 plus I3 and so on. Okay. So what's the answer? You will get Vx equal to 12 volt, I1 equal to this, and so on. Okay. So this is how to apply the KVL to obtain the loop equations or the mesh equations. Right. So we'll stop here. Thank you.